I'm going to talk about flexibility now. And to be honest, I think the main reason that people don't do flexibility training, I'm not sure if it's that they don't believe in it. Probably a lot of people, I even heard Chael Sonnen say that, it's a waste of time. And yeah, but in fairness to him, he was a great UFC fighter and all that. But he seems to only ever talk about training like 3 hours a day. So that's pretty minimal for a UFC fighter who's wants to be a world champion.
Professional as well.
Yeah, professional. Yeah, everybody knows UFC is professional.
No, but like he's not. I mean, if you're working or something, like a 3 hour slot. It is though. 3 hour slot if you're working.
No, of
Some
course.
UFC fighters work as well.
If you're working, of course, 3 hours is a lot of training. But as I said, for a world champion, who wants to be a world champion, who's a contender, 3 hours, he writ off stretching as a waste of time. But then, as I said, he only ever talks about training 3 hours a day. So that's quite a lot of hard training, or relatively hard training, but some technique work, recovery, and all this. I think 3 hours is kind of minimal for someone who wants to be a world champion, and especially if they're full time. Yeah, but anyways, stretching, I think a lot of people don't want to do it. Aside from thinking it's not worth doing, it probably is one of the least things that, in fairness, if you want to be in shape for mixed sports or most sports, you could probably get away with stretching less than if you can't really get away in lots of sports without doing your cardio training, like any ball sport, racket sport, or or doing the sport itself. You know what I mean? Do the sport itself, strength work and cardio is usually a priority for most mixed sports. But anyways, it's just very boring. That would be the big reason for people not wanting to stretch much or do the recovery work. Very boring. Takes quite a bit of time also. But I will say it's very important because, I mean, first off, there's the studies about muscle length. If your muscle's too short in length, it's not going to produce optimal force either. So if you're too short, if you never recover or stretch out your muscles and they get too short, too tight, it's not going to produce optimal force. Actually, likewise, if it's too long, it won't produce optimal force. It's somewhere in the middle. But I wouldn't be worried about being too flexible because at the end of the day, there's gymnasts who are really, really athletic and muscular who are pretty damn flexible. And the former UFC fighter, Bellator fighter, Yoel Romero. I mean, he can comfortably do splits. McGregor was able to comfortably do splits. And to be honest, I think they're pretty. They're not going to be strongmen or Olympic lifters, but to be honest, they're hardly weaklings. They're pretty powerful, pretty strong guys. So I won't worry about getting too flexible. I mean, they can do splits comfortably. Romero I seen him do a backflip into a split. So and he's very, very, very explosive, very powerful guy. Anyways, benefits of being flexible is I think the basic benefits is if you're as tight as anything and you get a great massage, what do you feel afterwards? Or you stretch out, you do a yoga session. You feel that you want to move. And to be honest, if you're always feeling really, really tight, you're going to do everything in a kind of worse manner. Also, if you're too tight and too tensed, you're going to be expending a lot more energy than you need to. You might be carrying a huge amount of tension on your shoulders and your back when you don't need to. You might be contracting before you need to be contracting. Whereas if you're able to move well, you're nice and loose, a bit more supple. You'll be relaxed when you have to be relaxed, and then when you need to contract, you'll be able to freely contract instead of being in that tight state of constantly holding on to that bit of tension when you're doing fuck all. So that's why you need to do your recovery and flexibility work, because it eventually builds up on you. I'll be honest with you, I slacked off on it for a while there. Couple of months back, before I I wasn't working quite as much. I was really trying to work on my flexibility and I'd be fairly flexible anyways in general, but I was trying to work on it. I was getting close to being able to do a front split. But then I started working too much and I prioritized the other elements of training like skill training and strength and a bit of cardio. But from like for example, the perfect window in my opinion to do your flexibility training. Yeah, you could do it after your training session, but for example, there's no point if you're going to bed, there's no point training too hard before going to bed because you're going to be stimulated and you won't be able to go fall asleep for a while. But flexibility recovery session before bed, in my opinion, is brilliant because it tunes down the body. You get shut off the Wi-Fi, tune down the body, get into that relaxed state, where you're getting in the process for loosening up your body and relaxing your body, ready for bed. You don't want to be stimulated. You want to be relaxed and ready to sleep. It's a great opportunity to get the flexibility working. And to be honest, you could do that's the hour before bed. Shut off all the stimuluses and stuff if you want to work on your flexibility. Warm up with a little bit of cardio, get the blood flow. We all know that if you have a little bit of increased blood flow, get the oxygen around the body to the muscles, that you're gonna be able to push the range of motion of the muscles and the range of the stretch. So yeah, that's it. Like I'm definitely gonna get back into it because I'll be honest with you, like repetitive movements, a lot of training, and you go too long without it. I don't even know why, but I got an awful last week. I've been very, very tight around my my traps and neck and upper back that I've, to be honest, when I'm asleep especially, it's to the point of being hardly able to move. Like, so I'm definitely gonna get back into that, and I'm gonna do it every night before bed. I'm gonna get back on that movement flexibility wagon. And also because I want to do MMA in the future, also I always knew that people can say that it's not something that's a necessary thing, like it's the least necessary. But yeah, for a lot of movements maybe you don't need to be super flexible. But if you can't dream of being able to do really good high kicks to kick someone's head with any type of power if you're not flexible. That's a fact. And also a lot of moves on the ground as well. You're going to be highly limited if you're stiff as a board. Like, if, you know, you want to be flexible. And as I said, it's that perfect window before bed. Instead of fucking around on your phone and scrolling through fucking social media, get off your phone, get into a good positive state of mind, and get that mental win before bed. And get better yourself, better your body, feel more free, want to train more, want to move more, and better your performance. You know, sometimes we make a convenient excuses like, oh, this guy doesn't do that. Just because someone doesn't do something, like he's the model. He was like the model athlete. He was this best in the world. Yeah, maybe he was really good at certain things that allowed him to get there. But it doesn't mean just because he got that far that he was doing everything as good as he could. You know what I mean? There's simple logic there, as I said. You could be fucking around on Wi-Fi for an hour before bed. Most people don't get enough sleep they should because they're fucking around on Wi-Fi. So, and they're going to bed because they're fucking around. Like, that's what I'm saying. Shut off the Wi-Fi. Plan your 8 hours sleep the hour before bed, 45 minutes before bed, even half an hour, and get your stretching done. That's what I'm going to start doing again and work towards that front split, which I was relatively close to. And then once I can do the front split, trying to move on to a split. But either way, I'll be able to move better, get into a very good routine. And that way, when I go to MMA, you know, there'll be no like, oh, I can't do those kicks too comfortably because I'm tight as anything. You know, you'll be able to be like, I can do whatever movement I want as long as I practice the skills, but my body's in a good place to do it because I'm able to move well. Okay.